The M4 iMac is a stunning and powerful all-in-one computer. Here's my review. The iMac is like a retro revival car, like the new Ford Bronco or the Volkswagen ID Buzz. Computer nerds across the spectrum look back fondly upon Apple's period of experimentation and discovery between 1998 and 2008. In 10 short years, computers went from clunky beige boxes to the slim aluminum unibody objects we use every day. During that period, some of the most radical, iconic, and weird designs hit the market. Like the original iMac, the M4 iMac is a computer that's as easy to use as it is fun to look at. I ordered the very base model iMac. For $12.99, it has a 24-inch, 4.5K Retina display, 256 gigabytes of storage, 16 gigabytes of unified memory, an M4 chip with an 8-core CPU, 8-core GPU, and 16-core neural engine, 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports, a Magic Mouse and a Magic Keyboard, Wi-Fi 6E, Bluetooth 5.3. As a tech blogger, I'm very fortunate to be able to buy and test the latest and greatest products in my daily life. But I wanted to get more in touch with what the average budget-constrained person would get. So I got no options, no upgrades. This is the default iMac experience. Let's start with the design, which is luckily unchanged, because the iMac is an object of stunning beauty and desire. It is a piece of art on a level that no iPad nor my beloved Mac Mini will ever achieve. From that truly unbelievably thin body to the solid milled aluminum foot, I could just stare at it and take in all the subtle details for hours. The iMac still comes in 6 gorgeous colors, and with this new model, the colors are improved and truer to their names. The green is greener, the yellow is pure sunflower, the pink is actually pink. If you order silver, what the f is wrong with you? On the front, the color is a little more pastel. My green iMac looks more like mint. I highly encourage you to put it somewhere in your house where the back is visible so you can see that richer, darker color as well. The color-matched Magic Keyboard, Magic Mouse or Magic Trackpad, and even color-matched cables are just icing on the cake. macOS even color matches the accent color of the user interface, the cherry on top. The downside to offering 7 different models is the slightly complicated logistics on Apple's end. I actually pre-ordered a purple iMac for pickup in the Apple Store on day 1. But when I got to the Apple Store, I was told my order wasn't ready. It was still on the UPS truck and it wouldn't get there until that afternoon. I didn't have that time to wait, so I had to cancel my order and then buy a green one with identical specs on the spot. Now let's talk about the display. The display isn't Apple's biggest nor brightest. It has a maximum brightness of 500 nits, which is plenty bright for most indoor settings. Where I had it naturally set up, I had it between 30 to 40% brightness. Placing it in direct sunlight, it isn't outshined, but there are still a lot of reflections. If this is a problem with the desk you want to use it on, I would consider the nano texture option. It's a 24-inch, 4.5K display. It has a physical resolution of 4480 by 2520 with a screen space of 2240 by 1260. Or in other words, it's a Retina display with a little more screen space than a standard 1080p screen. Some say that's too small for a desktop computer. Personally, I disagree. I happily used a single 24-inch monitor with an even lower physical resolution with no problems for many years. Surrounding yourself with as many monitors as possible always felt like the PC user thing to do, probably because Windows is really bad at window management, right alongside tap to click on a trackpad and buying peripherals with a bunch of ugly RGB lighting. In macOS, you have a bunch of tools at your disposal to do more from a single screen. Mission Control, Expose, Stage Manager, and now in macOS Sequoia, window tiling. Or if you're like me, you just make every window as small as possible and fill every single inch of the screen. I do sympathize with people who missed the 27-inch iMac. Apple's answer to that seems to be a Mac Mini with a studio display. And after all, the Studio Display is made with the exact same display panel that used to go in the 5K iMac. In 2024, the consumer market has simply moved beyond desktop computers. Plenty of PC manufacturers stopped making desktop computers entirely years ago. The fact that Apple makes as many desktop Macs as they do, with the addition of a new model to the lineup with the Mac Studio, is a miracle. Apple has determined that there's a market for powerful desktop Macs with a big external screen, a market for mid-sized all-in-ones, but not at the intersection. The new built-in camera supports center stage. While it always outputs a 1080p image, it's actually a 12 megapixel sensor. It's good enough for a FaceTime call or Zoom meeting because those are ephemeral, but you wouldn't want to record a video on it. It's far too grainy and fuzzy. For those moments where quality matters, Apple makes it really easy to use the much better camera system you already have in your pocket. Using a simple mount by Belkin, you can put your iPhone on top of your Mac and use Continuity Camera to use its camera instead. Desk View is a really awesome feature that takes the bottom part of that image and crops it and skews it to make it look like you have a second camera pointing down at the surface of your desk. Unfortunately, it requires a really long desk. The desk that I set it up on, Desk View was more like Legs View. As I mentioned at the top, the entry-level model comes with 256 gigabytes of storage and 16 gigabytes of unified memory. The upgrade from 8 gigabytes to 16 gigabytes is long overdue, but the benefit is that now there is no bad Mac. You can tell anybody buy any Mac in the lineup and you don't have to give any qualifications of things they need to upgrade. Running all kinds of tests in Final Cut Pro, Logic Pro, and Pixelmator, the Mac always felt zippy fast. Even when it ran out of physical memory and had to swap old memory to the disk, it still felt seamless. I wouldn't have even known if I hadn't checked Activity Monitor. 256 gigabytes of storage is now the pinching point, the first thing you would upgrade if you had more money to spend. But unlike 8 gigabytes of memory, 256 gigabytes of storage is going to be enough for more people. A lot of work happens on the web. Local storage is becoming less relevant. The biggest amount of data that people carry around with them is their photo library and their messages, both of which can invisibly sync up to iCloud, although it is still good to have a full local backup. Desktop apps are becoming rarer and rarer, but 256 gigabytes is more than enough to comfortably fit all the top productivity apps. Two notable exceptions to that are video editing and software development. Both Final Cut Pro and Xcode will eat every available megabyte of your disk away if you don't regularly empty caches, clean libraries, delete old SDKs and simulators. If this is your line of work, it's unfortunate that Apple charges such outrageous prices for adding more internal storage, but at least with a desktop computer, adding external storage is both cheap and convenient. So let's talk performance. I run a speed test with various benchmarks of real tasks that I do on a regular basis. Rendering a video, exporting the Cultcast, upscaling an image, building open source apps in Xcode, and running some Python scripts. The delta on these is impressive considering this is the base model and I'm comparing it to an M2 Pro chip. Audio was 46% faster, video 11% faster, image upscaling 21% faster. Now those are impressive deltas, but on the other hand, it doesn't have a huge impact on your day if you're only talking 10.9 seconds compared to 12.8 seconds. The story of Apple Silicon is that nothing is slow, everything is fast. Don't feel like you're too pro for the entry-level chip. It's also an incredibly powerful machine. And it goes without saying that if you're still on an Intel iMac, the time has come to board the Apple Silicon train. One letdown with the new iMac is the number of ports. You have 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports and a headphone jack. Higher-end models come with an Ethernet port built into the power adapter because the computer itself is too skinny to fit it. Other Macs with an M4 chip have more ports. The MacBook Pro has 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports, the Mac Mini has 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports and 2 USB-C ports. I'm not sure why the iMac gets the short shrift, Apple didn't respond to my request for comment. The entry-level model comes with a basic compact Magic Keyboard. Any upgraded model comes with a compact Magic Keyboard with Touch ID. Without Touch ID, there's a key that locks the screen. You also get a Magic Mouse. Upgrading to a Magic Trackpad, a very worthy upgrade in my opinion, costs an extra $50. There's no longer an option to spend even more and get both, which is unfortunate because you can only buy the color-matched mouse or trackpad at the time you buy your computer. If you decide later down the road that you'd like a trackpad instead, well, there's no way to buy it aside from scouring eBay. I was hoping for a more substantial upgrade to these accessories beyond the USB-C port, but you can click here to see that review. In the late 90s and early 2000s, the iMac was a bold proclamation against the status quo that saved Apple. These days, it's asking the big philosophical questions about what it's still doing here. The original iMac was the anti-desktop computer. At work, you had a beige PC with a Pentium processor running Windows 2000, a beige CRT monitor, a beige keyboard, and a beige rollerball mouse. Apple's pitch was that at home, you wanted something simple and fun. Because you live in a house, not a cubicle, you don't have to buy the same computer your boss bought you. Today, people don't really have a family desktop computer. Everybody has an iPhone, maybe an iPad, maybe a laptop that's maybe a MacBook. Ironically, it's the businesses that are still buying desktops, and the iMac is an attractive option. For the employee doing work mostly through web apps who just needs a mid-sized screen, the iMac is more than capable, looks clean on a desk, and crucially, can be bought with a single purchase order. For the customer service desk or check-in desk, a color-coordinated iMac telegraphs that your business has taste. I liked my time with my iMac because of the novelty. It's nice having a beautiful computer in a fun color in a brighter room in the house. It's nice having something simple that doesn't feel like a workstation. It just made me happy every time I sat down in front of it. So be sure to check out my other reviews. Remember to like and subscribe. I'm Griffin Jones with Cult of Mac.